Another day with no TikTok. How sad. It is what it is, I suppose. Can you hear me? Da, na, na. You are first. Hi. Hello, everyone. Give me 1 second. I gotta log in. I'm still TikTok banned, by the way. So I think this is the last night of being TikTok banned. Hopefully. And I mean, not that anyone missed them, right? Oh my gosh, hold on. I forgot my password. I always forget it. How's everyone doing? Merry Christmas Eve. Look at me. I'm saying Christmas Eve because I know a lot of you guys are in the future. So. Incorrect password? Okay, give me 1 second. I'm never being tailored to that. Wait, what happened? Wait, to what? Hi everyone, sorry I'm a little late. I was like feeling pretty unmotivated and the time kind of went by fast. So I was like, whoa. But yes, we're here now, right? Okay, finally. Gosh, it took 10 years. What happened last time? Stream 30 minutes early, stream 1 hour and okay. You know what? As long as it's somewhere around there, right? Hi Swayze, hi Kurt, hi Ronan, hi Goob, hi Nixa. Hi everyone, thanks for the alert. Wait, what happened? Oh, Taylor being faster than you? He's always fast though. Hi everyone, how you guys doing? Should try Technopunk, it's a fun meeting. Oh, I'm down, honestly. Today, it's not recording actually. Hi everyone, today I'm in like a melodic mood, I suppose. Like if it's like, you know, fun and like flowy, then like count me in. You know, like that daily level that I played yesterday? Like I really like that one. Hi Reason Shori, welcome. Hi Liano, hello. Everyone's doing good. I hope
You want to play? Let's play.
Everyone hydrate right now. Stay hydrated. Have you seen the update to Chompstep? What update to Chompstep? Also, you guys keep on pinging me saying that ICDX is always an extreme demon, and every single time I go to check it out, it's not. So at this point, I'm like, just stop. Literally just stop. Next stop. It's always an insane, it's been an insane, and nothing what I say or do will affect it being extreme or whatnot. Like, yeah. But you know. Hi Septic. GG on Phobos. Yeah, he's editing the Phobos video right now. Any music recommendations? Oh my god, like literally the daily yesterday I added to my Spotify list because it was so good. I was like, dang, I have a GD Spotify list now. Yeah, welcome. How do you get geode? I think online, Louis. I think it was a website. I remember though. I can't drink water. Oh, okay. No, not future fun. Something else that's fun and flowing, kind of like neon-esque. You guys know what I'm talking about? Oh, good morning, Nixa. What time is it in the UK? Daily's easy? Oh yeah, I'll do that too. I forgot to read my messages. Oops. I have maximum friend requests, guys, so I'm sorry. Hi, Michelle, can you rate my icons, please? Also love your content. Play Eon. Eon? An hour long? Oh, hell nah. Oh, absolutely not. But also, I've been wanting to play, I don't know why, something about Christmas vibes. I was like, I kind of want to play Valorant and like Wizard again. Like, just play some old games. I'm an OG Trust? Tato X3. Heh. Hi Michelle, I'm a really big fan. I love your videos. I want to know if you can add me because the holidays are wish. Aw, I have maximum friends. I'm so sorry, but I appreciate it. Picture my back. Oh. Love your videos and streams. Keep up the great work. Much love. Thank you, boy. That's so sweet. Sub from Sri Lanka. Oh, hello. Oh my gosh. That sounds exotic. Oh, cool. Welcome. Hi, Michelle. I really like your streams and have an amazing day. Thank you, Taco Truck Man 67. I hope you have an amazing day too. Even without gravity, Tato still fall on you. Even without gravity, Tato will still fall for you. Now that one's pretty good. That's so good. ICDX extreme. I'm telling you, every single time someone messages me, they're like, hey, ICDX is an extreme demon, and every single time I log it, it's not an extreme demon. I'm like, that's it. That's it. Troll level? A level called troll level? Really? I'm good creator that was just here. Are you really? No creator points. Be 100%. How about you be for real? Everyone's safe for Honey Camp. She's sleeping behind me right now. Can you see her? What time is it? I think it's like 10:30. I know it's a bit late. Oopsies. Oh, sorry. Did someone redeem something? Oh, you did. I'll do love requests and icon rates if you guys have enough Twitch points for it. Oh! Honestly, purple and yellow are always nice. Plus, we have the same ship and the ball icon. I like this. This is cute. It's super summery. I like it. I'll give this like a... I like this part too. I'll give this a 7.5. It's midnight. Oh, well, you know. Time to get to bed. Wait, I heard that the random gauntlet results got announced, which is nice. Should I do some gauntlets today, guys? What do you think? I kind of want something that's like super flowy and like fun. You know what I mean? It's a birthday today! Happy birthday! Let's go! I have enough, however I don't think my game will detect. Oh, I see. Yeah, all good. 65 on Supersonic. Let's go, Chris! Dude, I was going through people's TikTok lives. I don't know why, but oh my gosh. But my TikTok has been full of like GD streamers only. And I was like, either I'm getting into the GD niche or there's a lot more GD streamers. But either way, I've been stopping by and I was like, wait, this is kind of good. And other person's playing Sonic Wave, this other person's playing Supersonic, and this person's playing Magma Bound, and this other person's playing Crazy. And I was like, wait, hello? Oh, you have one, Bongo. Alright, let's see. I'll try to update it for you. Let's see what you got. Black and white, hold on. Okay, I think this is the updated one, I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about this Kirby being black and white though. This one is it's cool, I guess. It's not for me though, but I'll give this like a 5, I suppose. If you like it, you like it, okay? It's not for me though. I'm sorry. In Malaysia, it's 2 p.m. Well, good afternoon. But yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do today. I just want to like chill. If you guys have like chill, fun, like good music type of levels, let me know. Hi, Jamie. No, guys, I'm only doing it via icon rates from Twitch. Okay. 2 minutes. Okay, let's go. Let's have fun. I want to do something like looks like pretty, I suppose. Oh, that's cool. Oh, like constellations. Oh, wait, that's sick. Wait, that's cool. Okay. The actual I like that they glow. That's kind of cool, actually. Wait, they have a sound every time. Oh, they have a sound every time you step on them. I'll just okay. Oh, okay, okay. That's sick. I have to go break the shoids away. Okay. Wow. I like the simulation of the rain. What the heck? It's like someone drew on here. It's peaceful. GD is so relaxing sometimes, and I feel like that's what I need. Like after a day, I'm just like, yeah, I need to like just chill. Because it's like very musically, not artistically based. Right? Alright. The rain sound? The constant rain sounds? But yeah, yesterday's daily was so good. It was so good. I don't know if will ever see that type of song again. I was like, dang, I really like that. Maybe if there's a way I can search for levels from the Fat Rat, maybe. That was cool. I have an Orbit remake level? Wait, what type of difficulty is it? Because if it's like super duper hard, then probably not. GD can be relaxing with the right level. Yeah, I want some relaxing ones today. Not like nothing too hypey, but like literally like this. It's chill. How I be Acropolis? Should I be IQ? Congratulations! And yeah, go for it if that's what you like. If you think that you like the level, yeah. Everyone hydrate right now. We're 5 hours away from Christmas. Oh my gosh. Do you truly enjoy Geometry Dash? Of course I do. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't even be playing it. I only stream games that I'm passionate about. Unless it's like me trying things for the first time ever. But if you look at my Steam, I only stream like 3 games, right? Well, this year I probably do like 2, probably 2, but like I never play other games. I don't know. Like I'm really bad at that, and I do want to like branch out eventually. But I'm just so picky with like the levels I like. Like, are you guys? Do you guys play a lot of games? Because I know some people are like, oh yeah, I play Roblox. Oh yeah, I'm gonna hop on Fortnite. Oh yeah, I play a little GD. Oh yeah, I also play Valorant. And I'm like, I only play 1 game. I was here since you beat Club Step. No way, really. Hi Panda, welcome in. Wait, you beat 9 Circles? I'm so proud of you. Welcome to the 9 Circle Victor Club. Speaking of 9 Circles, actually, we could do 9 Circles if you guys are down. I just know my bitrate kind of dies when I play it. I'm like, ooh. But there was a level. What was it called? What was it called? Oh my gosh. It was this orange level or green one, the green 9 Circles, but it wasn't fish base. Guys, what was it? Was it medium 9 Circles demon one? What was it? You quit Fortnite? Oh, okay. I think I found your channel on someone else's channel, but they caused you to beat levels. Yes, Tato, actually, the Noob to Pro one. Were you able to watch part 2 and part 3 as well? Yeah, that's so fun. I hope you liked it. No, I'm not doing Bloodbath. The heck? Have a good insane arcane. Is it pretty? I like pretty ones. Was it called Medium Circles? There's no way it was called Medium Circles. There's no way. Subsuming. No, it's not that one either. No, it's not problematic. It was Solar? Was it Solar? I think it was Solar. Should we do that one? Let me finish this first, actually. Actually, before we do that, I felt like the music could have... Okay. Never mind. Never mind. I think it was Solar Circles. I'm like... You guys know that I love my 9 Circles levels. It's just... There's something that I can rely on to like always be the same. And I like consistency. I can't believe yesterday you guys were like, oh, you can hold. How'd I forget that you could hold? That's kind of funny. But yeah, yesterday for some reason my hands were hurting, so it's like whatever. Oh, I died. I have let welcome in. Does it look so peaceful? Yeah, it is a peaceful. It's a daily one. I kind of want to do some more peaceful levels like this. For Germany, it's the 24th right now. Oh, well, Merry Christmas! What the heck? Thank you, Seb. That's very nice. I love having Cardboard Tunnel and playing this game. Dude, it's not for me. It's not about Cardboard Tunnel. It's the fact that we're getting a lot of rain. This level was quite fitting, actually, but it's going to be super cold the next couple of days. For my non-American friends, it's going to be... Alexa, what is 55 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius? Yeah, it's gonna be 13 degrees and like that's really cold. And when it gets cold, my hands literally freeze up and it's like slightly more painful. So I hate it. Yeah, it's gonna be like 50 degrees. Super rainy Christmas for once, huh? Although I assume in Europe it's probably even less than 13 degrees. Swing! I can't believe there's an extreme swing only. This feels insane. I told one of my Valorant friends to go play GD and I introduced him to Noelle Electra and I think he liked it a lot. I was like, this is sick. Yeah, I need like a peaceful level, low-key. We've been doing too much hardcore boom type of levels. What's a chill level like this? Give me one for this, but like, I don't know. I'll even take it up to Hard Demon too. It's 4 degrees in Victoria. It's 2 Celsius. Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. I live in Australia, so it's hot. Wait, how hot? How hot? 55 degrees is sweet weather. Where I am, it's 22. You don't want to see Norway? What? You know, guys, I've never seen a white Christmas ever. And I would love to see a white Christmas. One of these days. Where are the mods? Sri Lanka doesn't snow. It's okay. We don't snow either. We never have snow. Dreamflower? Oh my god, yes, I'm down. I think that one's in my to-do list. I'm actually down to do that. I forgot what it was though. Let me see. Dreamflower. It has to be in like... It has to be in Love It. No, it's not. What's in here? What is Kingdom of Hearts? Oh, it has to be... Pretty to do. No, it's not. Oh my god, I think it was on my folder before I had a new PC actually. I think that's that. Hi Meow. Yeah, I was a bit late. It was an hour and a half late. Thanks for the baby guys. Welcome, welcome. I don't remember where I put it. Can I switch it from here? Yeah, I can. Okay, it's fine. Let's do Dreamflower, guys. I'm actually so down. This sounds nice. Oh, I have 9% on it. You guys want to do this one? Wait, hold on. Let me look at it first. Why do I always forget? The DJ is crying for help. Smile. By Lily Allen. 9 circles in V. Oh yeah, let's do this one. Alright, let's do this one, guys. Something cute for once. I remember when I first started playing Geometry Dash, I looked at this level and I thought it was impossible. But now I'm like, okay. But when I looked at it, I was like, I'm never gonna do this. Yeah, it's perfect actually. Oh my god, it was literally perfect. I want something like neon, cyber-ish, peaceful. Let's do this. Some cozy Christmas vibes for once. I think I've been playing enough Christmas ones anyways. It's a long one. Hi Matthew. Whoa. It's not that peaceful. It's so pretty! What? Are we kidding? Oh hell no, there's a duel. Wait, there's a duel? Okay, well that changes things low key. Oh. Okay, never mind. Let's not do this one. I have a fear of duels, I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty though. Oh. Alright, give me another one of this one. Not this one though. But give me another one of this. It's an 11-minute easy demon? 11 minutes? You're lying. You're literally lying. What? Thank you, Jamie. That's so sweet. I appreciate it. Woof? Okay, I'll check that one out. Okay, I thought this... Okay, well... I'll put this one in to do later, dude. To do later somewhere. What is this one again? Easy demon? I'll put it in my easy list. Easy demons. The first one in there. It's Siamese really. I would love to see a cat one actually. Is it called a woof? Does it have dogs everywhere? Oh my gosh. Was it this one? I think it was this one, right? I think it's this one. Wait, is it the one where it's like, who let the dogs out? Okay, this is not it. That's not it. Hold on. I think did I spell it wrong? Oh my gosh. By Fair Ignition. Okay. I don't know if they will have it. They probably don't have it. Well, how do you stop your fears? You face them. Oh my god, you're sounding like Fade right now. Face your fears. No, dude. No. I don't wanna. I don't wanna. I don't wanna do it. I don't know what I want to do right now, guys. Hold on. There's no way. I wish I didn't like reset my PC. I would have all a bunch of things to do. I had like, hold on. One's called the Geometrician, I think. This one looked cool, and I think I had it in my to-do list. Let me just clear this out then. I had that one, and I had Honey Bun as well. Honey for Honey Bunny. So let's do that one. I'll think about it later. I don't know if this is the right one. Oh! Oh! I don't think this is the right one, but it was called a Geometrician too, and I thought that was cool. Yo! 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 Oh my god, please! How much spammy do I gotta do? My fingers hurt! Eh. Okay. Aye! Thank god they got little markers for me. This is kind of cool though. Wait, what happened with the new Chompstat update? Thank you. I appreciate it.
You should let me join your blog as low high HRU.
Oh yeah. I'll make a. Let's do this one real quick. I just want to clear out some of the. I think I have a channel where I was like, oh, all these other fun levels that I want to do, and I just never got a chance to do them. And I have Honey Pie and that one on it, and I think like one more. And I was like, let me just clear them. Let me make a room if you guys want to join me. And my shallow Xmas party. Let's do that. Let's do that. Hi, Rona. Welcome in. Greetings. Happy holidays. I need this. My GD level kind of rated, and I want to get it rated. What do you mean? What? I'm not a mod. I can't do it. Thank you, Luke. Techno. Oh yeah, Technopunk. Let me take a look at that one. I wish every single level has like hold so I can take a look at it. Did I spell it wrong? Is it not rated? It's spelled wrong. Hi May. How do you join? You want to join me? So you need the mod application called Geode, and it's $5, which I know it costs the same as the amount of of Geometry Dash. And it's basically this thing right here once you download it. And then you would go and you download a mod called Globe, which allows you to do multiplayer. Yes. You don't use mods? Yeah, it's okay. Geode does not cost money. Oh, Geode is free! Geode is free! My bad! Geode is free! Wait, what? Geode is free? And you guys don't have Geode? Okay, what? Wait, what's stopping you? Wait, no, Geode's right there. Is this not what that... Oh yeah, Mega Hack's the paid one. Yeah, I forgot. Mega Hack's the paid one. Oh, Geode's free. Okay. How do you install Geode? How the heck? Oh, thank you, Meow. I didn't even save it for you. My bad. Okay, well, Geode is free. Yeah, so you go in here, and then I guess you just download it from the website. I'm not sure. And then this thing pops up, and then you go to you go feature, and it's like literally the #1 downloaded mod ever. It's like has 5 million people. So that's how, like, whenever you see people on my screen, that's how we play with Globed. And there's a lot of people who play without mods, which I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, what is this? Happy textures, more icons. Like, Jukebox is the one where you get all the songs too. It's available for everything except iOS. Okay, that's good. Use Eclipse, not Mega Hack. I see. What does click between frames do? It allows you to click. You won't guess. Between frames. Between frames. You can do exclamation point jump if you like, or exclamation point hug another person, or exclamation point duel. Yeah. But yeah, come join me on Globe. I'm on main server too. Do it. Try to start a Chompstat. Okay, what is this? Hold on. Yeah, I keep on saying there's an update to Chompstat. I'm so curious. Oh my god. No. Is this a legit level? Is this an actual... Oh my god. Wait, I can't tell. Is this real or not? I can't tell. Is this real? How come no one's saying anything? How come no one's saying anything? Is this real? You guys can't see it because my face is in the way. No, you can see it right there. Oh my gosh. Babe, are you in here? Oh my gosh! Is this real? What? How is this real? Who is it created? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, come on, bro. Okay. Okay. Wait, that's wild work! I need him to go see this level. Who put that on him? Grab the wall, wiggle like you didn't know. And I think I wanna smash them all. Like, speed up, gas pedal. I can't believe this. Who is Taylor X3? Oh. Okay, I'm gonna send this to him, and then we're gonna. Wait, no. Before we do that, let's get his reaction. I'm gonna call him first and be like, "Hey, okay." I'm gonna get his reaction. Hey, need you real quick. He's not answering. Hey, hello?
What happened?
Babe, look at my screen. I'm playing Chompstat right now.
Yeah, I know.
What is this?
The creator of the level did that earlier this morning.
Why would he do that?
I don't know, because he's trolling.
I was like, is this on the actual level? Why would he do that to you?
I don't know, because he's trolling.
You gotta sue him from defamation, bro. No one's even saying anything in here. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know and get your reaction. That was kind of funny.
I ago. I already saw it. Like 100,000 people told me in my comments.
That's too funny. Okay. I'll let you be. Bye.
Okay, yeah.
I'm dead. He got pinged on it 100,000 times. That's too funny. Bye, Alex. Sorry, I appreciate it. That's too funny. Oh my gosh. I thought it was a prank. You guys are funny for that. I won't lie. You guys are very, very funny for that. Whew. Anyway, let's go back to doing this one real quick. But yeah, feel free to come join me. I think I'm just gonna do this one quick, and then I want to do the honey pie one quickly as well, and then maybe I'll just choose the solar circles to do, probably. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I felt like this song was okay. I'll just... Is Honey back? Yeah, she's behind me! What do you mean? Oh, have a wonderful Christmas stream. You got a potato, I did! I literally did! Come join me, everyone. Today, I don't know. I kind of just don't want to think. I just want to play for the vibes. No, I didn't mean to go all the way up there. Oh my gosh. But yeah, lately I was like, I kind of want to just play Wizard. I kind of want to just play Valorant. I want to play Fall Guys. I don't know why. I've just been into like other games right now. You never found Technofunk? No, I didn't. Did I spell it wrong? I think I spelled Technofunk. Probably. Probably. Tano is not a fanboy. Oh. I don't know what I would do if I'm playing this level for days, for 50 days, and then the creator adds that. I'll be like, and the person there, who the heck? That's too funny. This is cool. Glow. Wait, where am I supposed to go, actually? I'm not sure. Okay, if I die there one more time, we can go fix it out. But yeah, sometimes I just stop by random people's lives, and like if the level looks cool, I'll just be like, alright, add it into my list of to-dos. This was one of them a while ago. I'm like looking back, I'm like, this one looks mad as heck. But okay. Wait, where am I supposed to go? I don't know, like go on top if I go to the tunnel and I die, right? Because there's... Are there hitboxes up here? I can't even tell. Actually, who even knows? Okay, I'll just go up then. Thank you for the 2.
At Lukai Slay super chatted $2. Can we do Grand Randomizer? Maybe also Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas! Okay, yeah, we can play GD Randomizer after this. I kind of missed that one too. How are you gonna respond to being in the Epstein files? Excuse me? Me? Okay, this is the one and only time I'm gonna give you my statement, okay? I got nothing to say. I actually got nothing to say. Like, guys, I'm not that PR trained. That's funny. Good luck on ice circles. Yeah, sure. Sounds good, Spider. I wish my life was sunshine and rainbows. Here's some sunshine. Oh. I think when someone says like they wish their life was sunshine and you send them a picture of it, I wouldn't like it. But maybe she'll think you're funny. I don't know. I don't really like stuff like that, I guess. But some people do. Good luck. Imagine it's like, oh, I really want some French fries right now. And then they send you a picture of French fries. Like, that would make me mad. Right? Would that make you mad? Hold on, let me just go price more real quick. I feel like that would make me mad. You're funny. Yeah, let's do Geo randomizer after this. I gotta practice this part real quick because I don't know what's going on. Where am I? Oh my gosh. Alright, so we go over here. Yes, I understand. Where do I go? Like, genuinely, where do I go? Like, I have to go make it up here. Right? Okay, yeah, I do. Like, straight up, I guess. Sure. Alright, let's do that again. Alright, so it goes. Alright, I just have to spam. Rage. That's it. Ace bitch again. The portals moved to your position? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I got 74 in Cali today twice. My nerves control is really bad. No, you got it. Sweet Life with 74 is so good. You're basically at the ending. Go, 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 go. What's harder, Forest Temple or I assume you mean Ninth Circles? Oh my gosh. I feel like Ninth Circles was really hard because of the lights. But like other than that, it's not that bad. So I'd say Forest Temple is harder, like more skill and game wise. But like, you know, flashing lights is its own skill level too, so not sure. Literally not sure. Alright, let's finish this. Oh yeah, I don't think I saw, but I posted Tato and I's reaction to Cataclysm again. Just like side by side. Oh my god, I forgot. I didn't spam enough. When you move the portals falling. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? I'm just gonna go up though. You have to go down. Okay, I'm gonna trust you, okay? I'm gonna trust you and not spam. But yeah, I posted it. And then someone said I was using no clip. And I was like, what is everyone's obsession with no clip? And like, does you remember the Sonic Wave if it was level 1? People said I was using no clip for that one too. And I was like, it's built in the game. I'm so confused. Like those are just decorative blocks. What am I supposed to say? And then Forest Temple, if you remember, there's this no clip part. And someone's like, wait a minute, he's using hacks. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Alright, I'm not gonna spam, right? Oh! Wait, why did you say that in the beginning? What? Wait, that's sick. It moves to where you are. Okay. Oh, thanks. Oh, okay. Never mind. Cube jump over spite you no clip decorative vlogs was GTV Cup. Have fun, Nixa. Hi, Nihar. Welcome in. Okay, it's that person's Look at that person's icon again. It's like Christmas decorated. It's kind of funny. Okay, let's actually finish this. My bad. Yeah, nerf control is like real. It's like you're already nerf playing, getting a new badge, and it's like, oh, actually, haha, your nerves is gonna be something you need to work. Wait, how do I get that key? Wait, I'm down. How do I get it? Is there a secret way? Let me see. It looks normal to me. I don't see anything though. Whatever. How do you get there? I never prioritize coins, ever. Oh, I died. 3K level requests or what? Yeah, otherwise I would be literally swamped with level requests. I think I first started them out at like maybe 500 or 250, and then there was just so many that I couldn't even like play the level that I wanted to play. So I was like, that's it. Inflation. Inflation of level requests. But like, no, for real though, I don't know. I don't really like level requests that much. Wait, congrats on the new best on Aku. What the heck? Yes. There's like different types of Kirby's too, because I'm also a Kirby. Okay, actually, hold on. Let me focus up. So bad at talking and multitasking. Oh wait, oh yeah, I don't have the key, I forgot. I need to go up. My eyes are like coins! No coin, no coin. That one's cool, but I feel like it was cooler the first time I saw it. Alright, and then the other one I want to do was called Honey Pie. For honey! But it looked cool on TikTok, I'm gonna be for real. It's not even rated! Hold on. Hold on. Why is this not rated? Is it that good? It has to be rated. I don't know if I have the song actually. No, I don't. I don't have the song. It's not the right one. Look. It's like not the right one. Because I think they require like a... Yeah, this is not even the right one. No. I was like, I only want to do it if the song was like literally called Honey, Honey Pie, Honey, Honey. That's so sad. It's not the part of it. That's funny. Search it on YouTube and load on Jukebox? Really? I'm not going through all of that. I'm not going through all of that. Alright, I'll do this for a little bit. How do I update it? Do you know Love Sunshine? I do! I did that one and Moonshine by Unzer, and I really liked it a lot. So many people with blue names and wrenches. My mods be showing up. I miss nothing. I hope your headache goes away. You should drink some water. Alright, let's do... Oh, I have to choose one song only? Okay, which one's the best one then? Oh my god, which one's literally the best one? I don't know. I don't know. This one? Love Sub? Or should I just play my own songs? But they're like, it's like 35 minutes long, right? But I'm gonna die anyways. Wait. Oh, what? Oh, you can go like click into them? Oh, a clubs of rap? Drowning? Low? No, let's just do. Wait, what's clips of rap? Now I'm curious. Yeah, let's just do this one. I don't know. Okay, I'm making sure I haven't missed anyone. Icon rates. Wait, this is not. That's not the song that I. Okay, whatever, I guess. Alright, last time my best was 48%. Oh, it uses of regular songs. Okay. What's that on the top right? Or top left? What is it? Is it just time and puzzles? Oh! Using this option will... Hold ego select. Oh wait, no. Hold ego select. No, space bar equals hold. Oh, what? Okay. Oh, I can choose which one? Okay. Demon, Stereo Madness, Background Child. Oh, this doesn't really matter, doesn't it? All of them then. Oh, my bad. Okay. Okay, gosh. Choose what parts in the pool. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Not random's fine. Game mode is selected. I don't know. How size? Random? What do you mean size? Oh, obviously I don't even know anymore. I guess it's too small. Ghost mode? I don't know. I thought there was an option for like music. Knows how to cheat detector is great. Okay, let's exit. Oh my gosh, how do I? Okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. Wait, no, I want the other song actually. This one. Play it. Why is it not playing? I don't get it. I actually don't get it. Whatever. Ah. I remember playing this actually. No, what the? No! Oh my gosh. Okay, don't click that one then. Alright, let's see how far I can get. My best is 48. I'm scared. Oh, okay. Oh! Okay! Okay, I should not click immediately. Then what if I'm in a ship? I have to... Okay. What if I'm in the ship? I have to click immediately. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is... Okay, I got it. This is fun. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my god, I love this. Oh, okay. Oh! How the heck was I gonna do that? What? I'm scared now. I'm so scared now. Oh yeah, I updated I don't know, my Nightbots to automatically added in, but I don't know if it's gonna work or not. What is this song? Oh. Oh. Cause my sight reading is not that good. Ah! Oh my gosh. I love that song. I can't even get out of here. What am I supposed to do? Uh-oh. I don't remember this. What? Guys, I can't do this. This is so long. I don't remember how to do it at all. It's kind of fun though, if you want to practice all the main levels. Dun 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 dun. Okay, not the regular one. The one thing that I can do. Yippee! Guys, this is so hard. What the heck? But what's the furthest someone's gotten on here? Wait, why is it so long? Oh my gosh. Okay. I can't even do this. Fine, I could. Just a new level. Happy birthday, Faz, for me. Wait, you're a Christmas baby? Aww. That's so sweet though. I hope you have an amazing birthday and Christmas combined. Oh, I see. It only plays. I see. That's good to know. Oh, I think I made the size random. That's why it's random. Oh, okay. Thanks for the mention. Okay, that's it. No more of this one. I'm done. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. Let's go do solar circles. I am like itching to play like a regular level. I don't know why. Yes! Oh my god, this one. I remember. Alright guys, we're gonna do this one. It's only a minute. It's a medium demon and it's a 9 circles level. It's orange one. I had that one orange one, but I think it was space circles, I think. I'm not sure. The honey pie! No! Thank you, that's sweet. But I on TikTok it had like really cute decoration and I don't think this one has it, that's why. Boy would love BTS! Hold a minute. Dancing! Adam Lambert! Mr. Saxo B! This can't be real. That can't be real. Rock that body? Oh my gosh. That's what I like? Girl So Confusing? I love that song. Hypebeat. Okay, last time I listened to a song by Childish Gambino, it didn't really go that well. Thank you for the bit. Jermaine taking a break from GD? Yes, of course. You take a break if your fingers start to hurt. That's what I did yesterday. Look at my hands were starting to hurt. I don't know why. You put gas pedal? That's so funny. Death Note? Oh my god, wait, I do want to do Death Note too. You reminded me. Let me put that into my to-do list. Wait, there's like a lot of songs. Let me look at this. Pumped Up Kicks? The Gummy Bear one? Golden by Huntrix? Chest Type B? What is that? Oh my god, baby! Like, baby, baby, baby. Katy Perry! There's 3 different Katy Perry songs in here. Party Rock, applause. Just Dance, call me okay. No, there's no way. Wait, why am I still scrolling? What type of song? What is Soul to Win? Why is it so popular? Slays as long as Sonic Blaster. Holy cow. OMG, Starships? Gangnam Style again? Oh my god, Disturbia? Slow Down. I love that one. Waka Waka, this time for Africa. Oh my gosh. OMG, I love it. I gotta put this one on. Baby No Money? Hit Boy again? I like to move it. What is this? will.i.am? I know will.i.am is really good. Okay, that's a lot of songs. That's a lot of songs, actually. Oh my gosh, there's like too many songs. Okay, let me just download all the ones I like. Mr. Saxo Beat. Honestly, this would be okay right now. Girl. Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. All the other. I'm a gummy bear. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. I should end on Baby too. I see you activating no clip. I won't tell anyone. Oh. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me put that here real quick in my 9 circles folder. And then someone wanted me to check out, what do you call it? Death Note? I just like the Death Note sound. Like the song. You try and beat this? Death Note if it was level 1. So I try it out. Well, there's so many. Why is there like 10,000 of them? Dubstep 2? No way. Abyss of Darkness! Why is Kanye in here? Dang, I feel like we've seen all these songs, no? I feel like we've seen all these songs. Yeah. How is this always? How is E.T. and Katy Perry always in here? Wait, telephone? No, we gotta do telephone first, sure. Wait. Oh my god, there's so many good ones. You're trying to do this one? Good luck. Wait, this looks so fun. Oh my god, okay. I'm actually dead as heck. This is what you're trying to do? Kinda busy. Kinda. Wait, so it's dubstep? Lady Gaga and Elle's theme. Hi, Fish. What in the names of these songs? Is this the right one? Like, is this the same one that this one is? I think it is. It has 1 million though. Okay, I'll put this in my to-do list. Don't worry, I will do this. I'll put this in my Insanes, okay? But we can choose it after I do Solar Circles. That's so funny. It's actually so funny. Okay, we do that one. We can do that one after we do this. Alright, let's go. I'll start off with Baby. What? So there's no block right here, which means I have to go fall down. Okay. But how's that part? I don't get it. I actually don't understand. I don't even understand how to do this. What the heck? No, my jealous. Wait, guys, how do I do this? Let me think about it. Let's use our brain for 1 second, right? So if we jump right here, then we die. If we let go, then we die. Which means I have to jump right here. Oh my gosh, that took 10 years. Okay. Which one is it? There's like 10 orbs. Okay, not that one. Oh, it's a hold. Okay, sure. Yo, what the heck? Oh my god! No one told me this key part is gonna be. Look, what is this? Alright, let's do some analysis. Alright. So we're here. There's an orb in here, an orb right here, but there's an extra spot right here for some reason. It's also a blue orb, meaning we'll be backwards. So if I jump it, I will fall right here. And this will push me right here, and then I go to something over here. Hi, Strawberry and Feliz Navidad! I appreciate you too! Bienvenido! Hello! Aw, sweet of you to stop by. Feliz Navidad! Feliz Navidad! Okay, blue orb late, hit the pink pad. Okay, sure. Let's learn it in 0.5 actually. Okay. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. The first cube confused me so much during my first practice run. No, literally me right now. I'm like, okay, like I like to see orb, click orb. You hit the blue orb late and hit the pink pad. Yeah, and then what? Literally, and then what? Oh, I have to hold. Oh, yeah. Of course I do. There we go. What? Where are we go? Oh my god, we're like going up and down. Like, I can't even see. It's like off screen stuff. Okay, and then what? If I hit this, I die. Okay. Wait, that's a fake? Wait, I'm so lost. Wait, I'm literally so lost. We better be the way right now, I swear. Of course we're not. Oh my god, where do we even go? Up. I'm gonna do this in 0.5 because I don't want to say anything right now. Let's do it all over again. Right here, right? Okay. Wait, no, I didn't mean... Oh. This is funny as heck. Hold! And then I think I click this regularly. And then I hold here. No, I don't. And then it was late blue orb. Yeah. No, and then it was a fake. Yeah, okay. Wait, no, I'm so. Oh no, it's hold. It was hold. Yeah. Late blue orb into a hold. Not this hold. Right here. And oh, a fake again. Okay. I got it. Sure. I feel like this is not that intuitive, but what do I know? The Justin Bieber, are you an idol? I'll quit playing. No. Solar Flare is inspired by this? Oh. Solar Flare, the extreme, right? Yeah, I feel like managing mod is like too much, you know? I feel like it's too much. This is called Solar Circles. I'm gonna start it. Feel free to learn it with me if you want. We're gonna learn it in slow motion because I don't know what is going on. Wait, oh, go up. Okay. Oh my god, me and my upside down gravity portals equals uh-ohs. Uh-ohs. Wait, what? Oh, down? Okay, up. And then down. Uh-huh. Oh. Oh, early. Okay. Wait. Is that a fake yellow orb? Wait, I'm so... Oh. Oh, I mean... Why is this so not intuitive, dude? Wait, no, that's not right. Wait, no, that's not right at all. Oh my... Oh, okay, it's a fake into a fake of the fake of the fake. Oh my gosh. And there's fake here too. Oh my god, where are we going? What? Where the heck do I go? Okay, for one something chill. Wait, oh. Okay, here. I want to go in the middle. Oh, what? There's a dual wave? Yo, ain't no one told me all this. Yo, no one told me there's a dual wave. Oh my god. And then go down. This is the most unconventional 9 circles level I've ever seen in my life. Like, I literally have no idea where we're going. What's going on here? Okay. Oh, my baby, baby. Oh. Okay. I feel like once you get through the wave, it's like chill. Yeah, get through there though. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, once we get to the wave, it's low-key fine. Oh, what the heck? Okay, once we learn the beginning, we're chilling. Oh, what the heck? Okay, so it's one jump. One jump. I'm so confused. Oh, I have to hit it. Oh, okay. Wait, what am I dying to? Oh, so there's a spike right here, but then there's an extra fake block right here, which means I have to go through here, which means I need to click right here. Okay. Okay. Oh my god, why was that so unintuitive? I take back that I call this easy. It's something else for sure. Yeah, I'm doing solar circles. No, I don't think it's late. It's just like some of them are like I have to remember some holds and some not holds. Okay, let's do it again. I think I got it though. No. Ah, right here. Oh, okay. First things first, guys. You always want to practice the ending. Or at least for me, I do. You guys don't got it. Alright, so it's one jump here. One jump, 1, 2, hold. No. Right here. Okay, that's the only one you hold. I wanna dunk forever. Okay, second one, jump. Wait, no. No. Don't see orb, don't click it. I always forget, low-key. Oh, okay, it's 2. No. Hold on, I can't understand the second part right now. I'm gonna put a web there. Oops. Alright, so I understand up to here. Goodbye, slow motion again. So I hit this. Okay, 1, 2, and hold. Okay. That's not that bad, I think. 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I might die at the ending if I panic enough. I'm like, which one was it? Okay. We're doing solo, yeah. Double low key looks cool. Come join me. Yeah. I got it. All right, let's do it again. All right. Honestly, we can learn all this later. I feel like we gotta learn the beginning, low key. Whatever, though. Oh. Oh my gosh. I always mess up my gravities here. Eee! Eee! Oh my god. Like the mashup? That is gonna. Honestly, the weight part is, I think it's not that biggest issue. I just gotta remember it. Alright, so where are we going? Oh, down, okay. And then down again. And then triple click around. Oh my gosh, stop. Oh my gosh, I always think those are spikes. They're not spikes. They're fine. This is weird though. Dude, why do I always die here? What? Okay. Oh, okay. I'll hold longer then. Oh, it's because it's a mini portal. Oh my gosh. I was like, I'm making it through. Oh, okay. 50, 40. Okay. Whoa! Where are we? Oh my god, I look here. Terrible as heck. Checkpoint. The door, yes, I remember. Oh, okay, and I went back here again. Baby, baby, oh! Holy cow, that's a lot right now. There's some... Oh, yeah, okay. Oh my god, don't click. If I click, I die. Guys, the gravity photos are killing me right now. Holy cow. Oh my god, that point's gonna kill me. I don't know what it is. I think it's just a mini portal. Yeah. It's because it's a mini portal, which means it's like, ugh. Tidal Wave confirmed to not be a 9 circles of. I thought we've been there. What's going on? You have a B-Server PC? Yeah, thankfully. I got a new one because my old one died on me, dude. It kept on like crashing when I was playing Valorant, which is so annoying. And I was like, that's it. But then again, it had been like 4 years, maybe 3.5 years. So I was like, that's it. Like I don't wanna buy a new PC like every 2 years. Dude. I want one to just last one forever. Like forever. Is that too much? Oh yeah. I was like, Wait, is it 1, 2, 3? Hold on. Oh, it's 2. Okay. Okay, got it. Oh my god, I need to stop dying there. Alright, I'm gonna die there. I'm saying that right now. Whatever. We'll move on. Okay, and then we just die right here. Wait, hold on, where do we go? Hold on. I need some slow motion real quick. Actually, you know what? I'll even put hitboxes on too. I need to see. In the middle, up. Oh my god, that's a skinny as heck doorway, what? Okay. Like, I guess. Baby, oh, I thought you'd always be mine. Okay. 0.7. I like this song. Do a review with us. I'm not sure elite. What up, Chavi? I do see a Halloween one. Up, baby, oh my baby, oh, thought you'd all. Huh? What happened? I might forget to go up low key. Probably. Oh my god, to go into. Alright, this is off. Where did I go? Oh my god, up, yes, up. Oh my gosh, I remembered. Thought you would always be mine. Oh my god, I don't want to learn the cue, bro. Ugh. It's Sounds nasty. The Beaver Fong edit? Wait, I'm actually down. One of my favorite levels ever. Aww. Right. I think I just really like Nine Circles levels. They're just so fun. I don't know. Maybe Taylor just raised me to be another one exactly like him. Where'd I go? Oh yeah, in the middle. In the middle. In the middle, in the middle. Oh no, no, a little bit in the middle only. Four times. Baby, oh. I feel like the bit rate is probably bad for you guys, huh? Oh my gosh, stop. It's in the middle. Dude, the entrance is so skinny. What the heck? Like, look at this. I'm like, oh, dang. Oh my gosh, stop. Oh my god, it's a skinny click. It's not a fat click. Baby, 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 oh, baby. Okay, hold on, let me change the music. Since we got so many good ones. There's too much clicking. Da, 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 da. Look at me, Slurno. You only live once. I'm asking my crush out. Let's hope. What? Okay. I mean, I guess. Alright, let's go back to memorizing this again. I'll do this in 0.7. It was early, yes. But how early? Let me find the perfect spot to click. Okay, it's like right before this. Okay. And then this one was click click. Wait, no, I don't even know anymore. Hold on. Oh no, don't click. Okay. One. One. Wait, no, it is click. After. And I hold. Okay. Early hold, actually. Okay. Hold, one click, one hold. No, I don't hold. Actually, I'm not sure.
My back! My back!
God, which one was to hold again? I like, don't really remember. Which one was it? Oh my god, it's not that one. Oh, it's... Wait, hold on. What is it? Wait, what is it? What is it? Is it? If I click this one, I die. If I don't click this one, then I die. Like, which one is it? God. I don't even know. I don't even know. Maybe it's not that one, because then I die. But hold. Let me just hold. I am. Look. Hold. I mean, thanks, guys. Thanks. That's all I meant to say. Oops. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. I thought I was holding. Okay, ahem. Okay, so we just hold. Yeah, sure, I can do that. And then we're over here, yeah. This one's chill, I think. I don't even know what's chill anymore. I don't even know. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, sure. No. No. Okay, yeah. So we just hold again. And then let go. Go up. This is so extra. Okay, and then we can let momentum take. Oh, oops. Not too much, though. No, we don't go there, dude. We go down. Okay. Up. Up. Down. And then some sort of trash over here. I don't even know. Oh, how am I supposed to remember everything? Okay, so we're hitting this orb. And then we're hitting this hidden yellow orb. And then something. I don't even know what anymore. Okay, we're skipping that. No, that's not good, I think. I think this is not good. Yeah, that's not good. You want to fall down and then go up. Okay. And then we're back here again. Okay, yeah, sure. Let me see this. Lead me up. Take me down. Move like a freak. Mr. Saxo beat. Mr. Saxo, no. This is good. Okay. Now can we do it again? That's the thing. Let's just practice this point then. But like sped up a little bit. It was up, and then down, I think. I feel like this is like slow enough though. Okay. I got that for sure. Okay, so the ship one should be chill. No, I forgot the yellow orb. Okay, yeah, I can do this for sure. This is a medium demon. Oh yeah, I realized I rarely do medium demons. When I say this is a belonging of a medium demon, I'm still collecting data and research. So, yeah. After 31 hours into Eve? Wait, really? Where are you? P-Job is so easy. I'm glad it's easier for you. I think the way for me is easier. Time zone is Middle European. Where? Tomorrow's Xmas and Australia no daylight. Oh, okay. After tomorrow, I'll be on a break, I think, which is good. I haven't decided what I want to do for like Christmas. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm like, I haven't thought about it. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. Alright, let's go back. Right here. Okay, guys. Hold. Okay, then what? Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, that's fine. Oh, that's fine. Okay, yeah, sure. We got this for sure. Okay, that's not that bad. Okay. Which means we just need to do this trash. Okay, yeah, I got it. Oh my god, wait, so it's hold 1. Yeah, hold 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Oh, okay. Okay. I understand, but now I gotta piece it together. Finally, you caught a stream. Well, welcome in. Hello. If you're new, my name is Michelle, and I hope you're having an amazing holiday. We're doing solar circles right now. It's a medium demon. I'm also in a globe room if you would like to come join. I have a couple of people in here playing for funsies. It's a 4-star called Piano World. Oh, but it's like a medium demon. What? Really? If you celebrate Christmas on the 25th, that's funny. Wait, that's like Christmas Day. Do you celebrate tomorrow? Like the 24th? I mean, I wish I did. Like, I gotta work, so. Yeah, of course you can join, Alex. Alright. Are we ready? Probably not. Let's just do another practice run at regular. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Oh my god, I'm gonna go click this. Oh my god, it's fast. Okay, after that it's free, I guess. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Let's see if I can remember all this. What do you recommend for First Insane? My First Insane was Supersonic, but I really liked, I think Crazy 2 was a pretty chill one if you want to do that. But I'd say... what would I recommend? I've done Insane Demons are my favorite type of difficulty, so I'm like, okay, there's a couple. I really like the 4 elements. I don't know, I really like that one, so I would recommend that. Hi, you're new. Hello. I'm on Solar Circles right now if you'd like to join, but welcome and Merry Christmas. Yes, if anyone's tired, you have to go to sleep. Let's have fun at biking. Yeah, the 4 element goes hard, right? Is there someone in chat who has played during 1.9 or 2.0? I've been trying to find a level, but I just can't. Oh, dang, what is it, like Shazam, but not? Thank you. Dude, I respect mobile players. That's rough. Okay. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my goodness. I'll have to click on that one. Oops. Dude! What? You guys don't hear me click it? I gotta click it earlier then. Oh, well, not that early, I guess. What? Oh my goodness. Let me be. Oh my god, why is this so specific? Alright, that's it. We're moving on, Barbie girl. You guys should go for Sonic Wave after Sacoup in Hell? Sacoup in Hell? What number is Sacoup in Hell? I mean, I like Sonic Wave a lot, but it's like really hard if you're down for that. Thank you, Connor. Hope you have an amazing one too. Good night. Bro is Space UK's long lost cousin. Who? What happened? I still have been my first insane in 4.2 attempt. Let's go! Yeah, Magma Bound's a good insane too if you want to do that one. Hi, Cookers. Welcome in. You have to buffer it? Okay, okay. I thought it was hitting it. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It is early. It is early. You're right. Let's do that then. Oh. Oh my god, bro, I got spawn killed. I literally got spawn killed in the wave. Don't tell me to get ready. Let's go get an AI overview. Oh yeah, I have maximum friend requests, guys. I can't do it. Let's get spawn killed like that. Excuse me. Ooh, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life's fantastic. Something, something. I'm always yours. Girl in a Barbie world. Fantastic. Fantastic. Imagination. Okay, some of these days I'll go, right? Da-na-na. Oh my goodness, it's a 5v5 right now in basketball. Go, go, go. You guys are funny. I'm poor, I can't get GD. GD is $2.50 right now, so it's usually $5, so I think if you can spare $2.50, aka one Gatorade or something like that, I don't even know. Where? Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. I feel confident now. I might just probably die the way, but we can learn as we go, honestly. Early, early. Have to do an early click.
You can touch, you can play.
Oh my god, dude, wait, give it a second. I might forget. While I was practicing the first part, I took some memory that literally, I would be like, oh my god, what's happening? So much memory, it's unnecessary as heck. I'm like, oh, okay. It's kind of funny though. Okay, oh my god, clearly I need help at the job. So we're gonna do that real quick because I can't do it. Okay, alright. Like, alright. The ship is the only thing easy, like literally, it's the only thing that's easy. Okay, what's happening here? I always die. Imagination. Oh, that's why it pushes you down. Oh, that's why. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to wait a second. That's fine. Interesting design for sure. Well, good thing I practice this right now, clearly. It's fantastic. You can touch my hair. Oh my god, it's higher. What am I doing? Higher, higher, higher. There we go. Oops, what am I doing? Oops. Okay, that's too high. Oh, up in the middle. I love geometry dads. I feel like it's so fun. You really got a level for everyone. In a Barbie world. What? Dang, what is going on here? Do I just suck? I can't even do this. What's happening? Why am I dying? Man, why is this respawn time so fast, dude? Does it reset every time I log in? 700. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, and how do you say it in French? Let me think. Feliz Noel? It might be Feliz Noel. Good morning, hello. You don't have to cook before the job? Yeah, it's fine. Were you at Salerno? It's Christmas! Guys, remind me to go buy my light for Christmas. I rarely buy myself anything, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go buy it. Right now, I'm just using my brother's light temporarily, and I need to go buy myself another one. Alright, why don't I just ask you guys? Should I shell out literally $200 to buy the brand name Elgato light? Or get like a $60 knockoff version. What do you think? Don't click over the blue pads? Wait, what? Is it auto? No way. Is it auto? The whole bro, I've been clicking over them and I was like, what is? Oh my god, thank you, Laz. What the heck? I did not know that. El Gato, treat yourself. Okay. Hi Zapsa. Okay. What do you guys think? Dude, I didn't know it's auto. Oh my god, the whole entire time I've been like stressing. Bro. What would I do without y'all? Okay, okay, well. Okay. Now we know. We need to just focus on this. There's no excuse for me to die here, like literally. Okay. I feel like this mini wave is diabolical. I don't know. Why am I always dying? I'm used to the Sonic Wave level 1. I hate mini wave. I actually hate it. But a skinny. Why is it such a skinny wave? Like, it looks disgusting. And then I always die in here too. Pissing me off. I'm your doll. Da, na, 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 na. Alright, let's come back to that leader. Let's go back to. Oh my god. Is this the one that's like. Oh my gosh. Oh. Wait, no, this one's good too. The Taylor X3 icon is insane. Yeah, we have matching dual icons. Try using Wave 37, aka the fat wave. What's that? Well, I don't have a lot of icons. I don't know if I can do it. Let me see. I don't think I have anything with 36, 37. I don't have it. 400 demon difficult. 400? How many do I have? Like 28? Eh. Na 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 na. Can you can change the skinniness? Let me see. And custom wave trail. Cosmetic. No, it should be in here, right? Confirm. Cycle. I'm on Mega 8. Oh my god, am I like blind? What's going on here? Solar Flare is my 40th demon. Ah, did you like it? Dude, am I blind? I feel like I'm blind. I think I'm blind. No wave pulls. Yeah, no, I want that actually. Wait, trail cutting? What is that? Brings the trail cutting? Brings the bug? Why would I want a bug? Oh, did you get Mega High 9? I'm okay. We're fine. Let's do another one. Because I obviously terrible here. Oh, oops, we're upside down. And it's up, up, and then down, yeah. Oh my goodness. And then down. Am I picking so early? Probably. Oh my god, where am I going? Gay. I can't believe I didn't have to jump here. That's so awkward. This song? Absolutely not. Guys, I'm getting spawn killed. Am I supposed to like not spam? Yes, no, what? But oh my gosh. I keep on hearing this dumb song over and over again. Oh my gosh. I feel like this part is really hard for me and I don't know why. This part right here. Not that anything's hard here. Oh wait, oh yeah. Okay, let's go like wider since that thing keeps on killing me. Like that maybe. But I gotta get used to the minion wave. Wait, no, genuinely though, why is my wave so skinny? Like, stop! It's never been this skinny before. Aww. Merry Christmas! Wait guys, I celebrate Christmas on the 25th, not the 24th. What are you talking about? It's 8 p.m. for me because I'm French? Bonjour! Bienvenue! Guys, I'm trying to find my wave size right now. Is 2.1 too like skinny? Like, should we do more? 2.5. There we go. Or is it because it's mini waves and that's why? When is Tato X3 gonna date you? Cat emoji? Huh? I live in a different country, so it's the 24th. Wait, your guys' Christmas is celebrated on the 24th? Or that you're saying it is the 24th. Bonjour et merci? Oh, there it is! Oh, now it's... Okay, now it's a lot better. Oh my god, yeah, I was like, what in the skinny wave was going on? Okay. I got it, I got it. I might die here. In fact, I know I will. This song's so bad. Ugh, whatever. Okay, no, I can't deal with this song. We're going back to Baby. That was terrible.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Oh my gosh. It's called Diamond Castle on the first page? Okay. Number 17? Wave 17? 24? 18, 17? 4,000 diamonds? Oh, I'm almost there! Diamond Castle. What is this? It looks like a little, like, Pac-Man. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it. Let's go. I'm done. I'm done playing. We're here to win. Oh, I forgot. Oops. Oh, why my fingers hurt again? I think it's the cold. I don't know what's going on. It's just gonna be like this for the next whatever. Why am I getting spawn killed before I even get to the job? Job attempt? Yeah. 100% job attempt. I'd be dying immediately, bro. What the heck? Nah, I'm gonna buy in practice mode until I get the job to like at least 100, right? Girl, quit playing. Just friends. Excuse me. Baby, oh. Oh, it's a mini wave. That's why it's dying. It should be light touches. Okay. Dude, my wave is getting uncontrollable. Oh, and I can't forget to do that too. Okay, other than that, we got it for sure, right? I think we got it. Good luck on Toad 2, Relic. Da, na, 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 na. Yasubi Silver, did you like it? This wave makes you better at wave. Even Zoink Vortrox and I switched up because of it, and we became wave legends. Ow. Wait, really? Like, for real? I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe all that. Dude, that part is so bad for me. If I can get past, what, 45? Right here? That part, then like, cool. But, well. Okay, I think I got it. Had any advice for night terrors? I'm trying to go for his third hardest. Yes, have fun. Practice a 60 part the most. I think 60 to 100 is pretty important, and so is 40 to 100. I still wasn't able to do 35, I think, or very, very late on. But that was really hard for me. But yeah, other than that, you got it though. 67% killed me so many times. Too many times, actually. Just shout whenever. No. 62? First drop attempt? Not bad, I'll say. Not to make predictions of me. I'm already dead. Ever be apart. Me and I don't know we're playing. Just friends. What are you saying? Oh, like baby. Dude, I swear I hit it early and I died. I actually... I hate timing one so much because I swear I hit it and they're like, oh well, you didn't hit it at like the exact second I wanted. And I'm like, okay. Like, what is this? We will never ever be apart. We an item we're playing. We're just friends. What are you saying? First time and I was like, baby, 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 oh. No. Buffer the. Oh, okay, I will. I don't. I just click it early. Hi. Oh my god, I can't say your name anymore because every time, the last time I said it, everyone was clowning on me. Hi, Nair Adwin. I can't say it. It's just Nair. Nah, Adwin. Oh my god, I don't know why I can't say it. I'm dead. I keep on saying his name as Nair. Taylor was like, why are you saying it like that? Stop that. It's nah I win. Like nah I win. Like nah or nah, right? I don't know why I keep on reading as Nair. And I'm like, oops. But yeah, we have a State Advice winner in here. Oh my gosh. Hey, he never said anything about it. About how I kept on saying it wrong. I'm dead. Never ever be apart. The first time I heard this, I genuinely thought it was a woman singing. Close. After seeing that asymmetrical duel, I now agree. Alright, I should finish this soon. Wait. Which song do you guys want me to beat it on? We can do Mr. Saxo Beat. We can do. Oh, wait, no, Bobby Girl. Hold on. Ahem. I gotta sing along too, low key. Too bad the song doesn't. Okay. This song starts a lot faster. I'm always yours. Ooh, wow. Do I use to blast this? Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Plastic It's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me anywhere. Imagination. In a Barbie world. Plastic. It's fantastic. You can brush my hair. It's fantastic. Imagination. No! Ay, ay, ay. I'm not gonna lie, I might have forgotten the ending cube already. This is too much memorizing. I already forgot that part. Ugh. You can do this, baby girl! Wave on mobile is so bad. Is it? I feel like it'd be easier. Oh my god, girly Ale, how are you? What? What are you doing? Buongiorno. Good morning. Aw. You guys should go check her out, by the way. She be doing some crazy stuff I would have no business doing. How are you? Oop. Oop. It's raining right now, guys. Also, my hands are so cold. Oh my god, it's so cold. Ugh. Whoa. The Italian word? What? I tried. I beat Solar Circles. I flew from 67. Now I'm favorite. Let's go, Nita. Have fun on it. It's so cold. If it was random, I mean, I don't know how people even play on phone. I assume everything is hard, especially probably like ship. I assume ship is like really hard. I will teach you Italian word. Yes, teach me some Italian. Grazie. That's all I got. Okay. Let's focus up. Ahem. Let's go. You can play. I'm always yours. Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Plastic. It's fantastic. You can brush my hair. Dress me anywhere. Imagination. In a Barbie world. My hair, undress me everywhere. You can touch, you can play. You can say, I'm always yours. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Honestly, if I think this is already like annoying to play, imagine actually seeing the real Extreme Deviant that's based off of this. Like, oh my gosh. Keep on dying. Okay, no more Barbie girl. No more. No more. What in the Barbie? Fine, no more Barbie it is. Mr. Sax would beat it up. If Taylor heard you say adjust me everywhere, he would crash out. So unlucky. That's funny. This is why we dash. What? This one's really good too, guys. Except the remix doesn't start until like at the drop. So now we're just gonna listen to literally nothing. No, I feel like I'm buffering. Am I not? Clearly not. Oh my gosh! Oh, that was too much. That was too much. It was too much. Oh, that was too little. I'm getting wrecked. Thank you, Sinless. I can't even. Okay, no. I didn't even give it a drop attack. I need to give it at least one drop attack before I switch the song. I'm like, I'm not really vibing to it right now, though. I don't know. Oh my god, I need to do it before. I should probably do another practice run for the ending before I forget. But it's whatever, it's fine. No, yeah, I don't know. I don't really like this one that much. I don't like waiting for the drop to hear the song. Not I like to move it. I'm trashing that one actually. Alright, enjoy Christmas too. Minus 43? Where are you at? Oh my gosh. Honestly, I was supposed to go to Canada and I was like, nah, this is too much. Let's do this one. Rock that body. Hello, rock that body. Okay, wait, we could do that one. Cake by the ocean. Which one should we do? Dude, if they had idols in here, that'd be kinda too good. Wait, what's this one? Putty rock. Wait, applause. I live for the applause. Okay, now we okay. You know what? We got a bunch of them. Okay. Let's put on. No, let's do applause first. I hope it's not like too long to get to the drop. Probably is though. Except for Baby Girl. Hi. No, it's supposed to be a light tap. Okay, right. Thanks, Meow. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you. Are you guys doing anything cool for Christmas? I'm just having a white elephant. But it's gonna be raining, so chilling. This is the first time we've had like a really chilly Christmas like this. Be like, oh duh, it's Christmas. Yeah, well, you know, I'm used to the desert. Alright. I'm going back to Barbie Girl. I'm not vibing. This is a medium demon. I'm a big fan for GD and I really want a doggy shirt for Christmas. Oh my god, I saw that he was doing the plushies. And I was like, ah, I love the plushies, what the heck? I feel like I need to have an icon like rebrand or something, but like low-key, there's just not that many good ones. Like, I just use the cat one because it's cute and you know it reminds me of Honey, but I feel like it's like pretty basic too, so I don't know, you know. I'm always yours. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Imagination. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. No, I think I need a practice run. Hold on. I've been dying a little too much for my liking. Oops. Also, I think I'm gonna return these items. I don't know. I literally don't know. What? What? How did I get? That's weird. Okay. That's a little hard. Oh yeah, that is hard too. I don't know how to enter that one correctly. I think it's supposed to be up. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be up. Let me see. Let me see. Hold on, I'm not even thinking. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, okay, I got it. Okay, I got it, I think. I have to go up. Dude, my spamming skills right now is a little bit mid. Because it's cold. Cold equals Wait, that was it? That was the freest part and I died here? Oh. Oh, not bad. My actual bad? What the heck? What? That was the ending. Oh. Oh, we got this for sure. Okay, let's finish this, guys. What's Piano World? Maybe I can make other custom. Oh my god, I love yours so much, Zapsa. I literally love the cool icons. I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know what else I would do with it though. But I like it. I actually like it a lot. It just... This is basic. The one I have right now is basic. So I was like, I kind of... Yeah. If I could watch your stream, you inspire me to stream G-Dash. Oh my god. Wait. How is it? I hope you like it, Chopsicle. Thank you. Hope you're having fun. Use a piano cover on this? Dude, I feel like it'd be too sleepy. Like at first I wanted something chill, but it's like too sleepy. Michelle, we need Michelle icon plushie. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I saw Doggy do it and I was like, wait, I would love to have my own plushie. Because like you guys see, I have so many plushies, right? And I was like, wait, it'd be so cute if I had like something that's like, oh, like that Michelle plushie. But like, look at this. It's like basic as heck. So if anything, it has to be rainbow. It's like it has to be rainbow. But I've just been using the account one for so long. So I'm like, what else will I even use? Because there's nothing else that's like not even like, I think. And literally nothing. I think I went over it and I was like, eh. I farted. Hello, Jamie. Welcome. You should call Makeshift. You like it, Meow? Oh, what is it? Hey, bless you. Welcome in. Alright, let's go. But yeah, I think I want to return these IMs because every time I like lean, the audio literally cuts out. And I looked it up, and that's just something that like this company has. And I was like, what the heck? I spent 120 bucks on them. They should not have any disconnection at all. There we go. No, it's yours. Ooh, well. No, it's fine. That was really fun. Don't die at 96. That was really fun. I think it was a pretty short level, actually. I liked it, though. I'll give it a thumbs up. But things are like cutting out. I'm just like, ugh. I need to get new IMs. I did get a light for sure. Okay, are there any streamers in the chat? Like, are there any streamers here? Bro, beat it during the ads. Oops. That's why you should sub. Trash circles. Kim, stop being negative, bro. What did I say? Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. What should I say? Yay. Come on, Barbie. Let's go party. Ah, 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 yeah. So fun. You stream occasionally? Okay. For the streamers in my chat, do you guys have a light? And what type of earplugs do you use? Slash, if you use earplugs, I suppose. Paracosm circles next. Temple level? Oh, I need to do the temple level, actually. I have so many things I want to do, bro. Let me add this to my 9 circles if I have it. Have I? What's in here? Oh, it is in here. That was fun. I think I just really like 9 circles stuff a lot. Let me look at Paracosm. Well, who knows, guys? Maybe a year or two down the line, I might be doing Sonic Wave. Who knows? Who knows if you guys are still here? It's not even a minute long. Oh my gosh. There's more? Should I do this one? I mean, at this point, there's just so many things. I'll add it to my nice circle stuff to do. Oh, piano world? Yeah. What is it? I'm expecting some amazing piano stuff. Okay. Dim rain? Okay. Wait! Replay! Wait, let me put this one on. Okay. Give me 1 second though. Oh my gosh. I'm getting wrecked. Are you sure this is a 4-star? Are we... Excuse me? I'm sorry? Is that just a light click? I feel like it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god! What type of 4-star is this? What? I have to. Huh? Oh, like really late. I'm sorry, this is not a 4-star. Be so for real with me right now. Oh my god. Where the heck? I'm sorry, what? Where are we going? Like, where does the robot go? Shawty's like a melody in my head. Da, 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 da. Abbott's 4-star pack. Literally. Wait, guys, how do I do this? Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, no. Wait, no, you have to end up here, right? Because if you jump... Can you make this jump here? You probably can't, actually. Hold on. Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, I'm just... I don't know. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is crazy. What do I do? I have to go switch my gravity. Yeah, I understand. But when I click it, nothing happens. Oh, it's because I double click. Okay. Alright, there we go. Oh my gosh. What is it? Okay, the way I entered is probably bad, huh? With your friend. I was done. Oh, what? Wait. Stop, this is literally what type of 4-star is this? Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? Yo. Is it a buffer? Am I just missing that one completely? Oh, it is a buffer. Oh my god. Okay, that's incorrect. Okay. Alright, this is so hard. Oh my god, it's literally the hardest 4-star I've ever seen in my life. No, I can't do this. I genuinely can't do this. Oh my gosh. Totally free 4-stars. This is so hard. Oh my god. Wait, that was so hard. This should be a medium demon. I'm jealous. That's too funny. That's too funny. Oh my god, that texture pack is so cute. I actually love it. I literally love it so much. I love it. I'll take a look later. Wait, that one was too much, guys. I don't know how this got 4-star, but that was insane. It's an easy demon. Look at the level description. Where? I'm looking at the description right now. Huh? Oh, that. My favorite level so far? Crazy 3, which I know who misses it. Who misses it, actually, generally. That is a description? What are you talking about? Yeah, where? Guys, what am I missing? Oh, enjoy this easy. Oops. Oh, oops. Yeah, my bad. I'm dead. Wait, why the heck did he rate it 4-star? Did he forget? Dang it, my Nightbot doesn't work. I had it triggered to hardest, but I guess it didn't. That is Cataclysm. You can do exclamation point hardest if you want. My bad. I clearly didn't read it. I'm dead. It was update rated. I did not know about all this. You're really dead. I'm not gonna lie, guys. When do you think Crazy 4 is gonna come out? Like, do we have any intel, like, at all? Like, if I go to Dab JT right now. He put this 3 months ago, right? Which means that he's back. Right. We'll follow him real quick. Right, like that's what it would mean. I can't believe we did this one. It was so fun. Okay, how about my next one? I do a temple one. I haven't done any of the temple ones since Forest Temple. And I know ever since I did that one, you're like, oh, you should do. Okay, well that's sad. What should we do? Forest Temple is 10 million. Oh, how about 6 million? Oh. Alright, let's see. 6 million, 5 million. Does the tempo is good? Is it? Or should we do another insane? Because I love insanes. Yeah, I'm pretty tired too, guys. I'll probably call it here though. We can choose one tomorrow. How about that? Yeah, water or desert. Someone remind me though. Remind me. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. I'm getting tired. I'm gonna go probably order my light. Pray. Okay, fine. I'll just drop $200. Why did I drop 120 for these IMs? They suck. Whatever. Alright guys, I will catch y'all another time. The last 3 days have been pretty chill without TikTok, but tomorrow, TikTok people will come back. Whether you like them or not. I'll catch y'all another time. Bye bye. Let's go. Everyone say Merry Christmas to X Spicy, okay?